So for our first speaker is Nicole Carpenter of the Georgian Bay Forever. And I'll invite Nicole to join me up here on stage. So Nicole Carpenter holds a Bachelor of Science with a focus on Marine and Freshwater Biology from the University of Guelph and a minor in Geographic Information Systems, or GIS, and Environmental Analysis. Nicole started with the Georgian Bay Forever team in 2021 and has been managing the Invasive Phragmites program across southeastern Georgian Bay. Alongside the Invasive Phragmites program, Nicole also utilizes GIS to create maps and analyze water quality and bathymetric data collected by our Autonomous Underwater Vehicle, or AUV. Her passion for the environment continues to build every day, and she strives to help people better understand, appreciate, and value our freshwater ecosystems. Outside of work, you can find her spending time outdoors with her family and friends, swimming, canoeing, and hiking. So I'll invite Nicole up if you want to share your screen.
Okay, thanks, Gabby. Does everything look okay?
Looks great. Thanks.
All right, thanks. All right, hello, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Nicole Carpenter, and I'm the Science Projects Manager at Georgian Bay Forever, and I'm going to be talking about our community-based approach to the eradication of Phragmites for the health of the water and wetlands. I'd like to thank everyone for listening in and for the Ontario Phragmites Working Group having me here to present today. Georgian Bay Forever is a charity dedicated to scientific research and public education on Georgian Bay's aquatic ecosystems. Our mission is to protect, enhance, and restore the aquatic ecosystem of Georgian Bay by taking action and funding accredited research on water levels, water quality, and ecosystems. This presentation will highlight the methods, progress, and success of our community-based invasive Phragmites management across the southeastern Georgian Bay coastline. Georgian Bay is amongst the most diverse ecosystems in the Great Lakes, composed of incredibly complex habitats, swamps, marshes, Canadian Shield, archipelagos, and large tributaries. Compared to some areas around the Great Lakes, Georgian Bay can be considered relatively untouched, especially along the eastern and northern shores, though southern Georgian Bay is quite populated with towns and cities such as Midland, Tiny, Collingwood, and Owen Sound. Protecting Georgian Bay means protecting the thousands of people that live, cottage, and work around the bay, and also rely on it for clean drinking water, recreation, food supply, and more. But also protecting Georgian Bay means protecting the plants and animals that make the bay what it is today and what we hope to preserve for future generations. We take action to protect the bay through a few different projects, one of which is our long-running invasive Phragmites removal program that has seen many years of change, success, and challenges to fighting Phragmites in Georgian Bay. Our work began 10 years ago when we applied for funding to begin our efforts against invasive Phragmites in Georgian Bay. We partnered with the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority and coordinated a community action plan for the West Collingwood shoreline. Within a year or two, both organizations received grants to assist the community with Phragmites monitoring, control, and education. After a few more years, we became increasingly aware of the need for Phragmites education and control across Georgian Bay. So the map on the screen here shows sort of around 2016 communities that we had started working with to educate, train, and actively cut Phragmites in the water. By 2019, we developed a 5-year community-based eradication plan for nearly 600 stands that we originally identified along Tay Township, Georgian Bay Township, and the Township of the Archipelago. And part of the reason for developing this plan was seeing the need for the spread of education regarding Phragmites, but also the desire from the local communities to learn more. One of the key components to success of this program is collaborating with volunteers, municipalities, First Nations, and community groups around Georgian Bay so that at the end of the 5 years, we can confidently leave the responsibility of Phragmites control and monitoring to these communities, which leads to a sustainable method of environmental management, and in this case, Phragmites control. So we've been successful doing this by training these groups, so community groups, other NGOs, Parks Canada, Ontario Parks, municipalities, and so on the Phragmites 101. So identification, proper removal and disposal protocols, follow-up, safety, and so on. And I just will note we use only manual cutting methods. We're predominantly working in the water, so it's pretty much all cut to drown, and we don't get involved with any active or herbicide control. A large part of this plan has also been to offer summer employment to local students each year to assist in the program. Each year, we've been lucky enough to receive generous support from local municipalities, community and cottage associations, as well as some external funding sources as well, to aid in the hiring of summer staff responsible for mapping, removal, monitoring, and then as well as hosting and attending events, excuse me, to spread education and awareness on invasive Phragmites. Over the years, we've been able to provide over 20 students with summer jobs that have connected them to their local community and protecting Georgian Bay's aquatic ecosystems. So the charts here demonstrate the total number of invasive Phragmites stands managed by Georgian Bay Forever and our volunteers and community members, with each color representing a different level of treatment by the end of the season. Red is representing sites that are left untreated, and you'll notice each year that slice is getting smaller. And yellow represents sites cut, while green represents sites eradicated. So these are, again, the sites that we have seen zero regrowth at, and we continue to monitor them each year to ensure that zero regrowth. In 2019, we started with 588 stands. And each year we've added more stands or sites to our list as we would find newly established sites in the area, or due to successful efforts and due to communities being trained and able to control the Phragmites on their own, we have been able to relocate our efforts into new areas of the bay. Not including that addition of new sites, if we were still looking at the additional 588 stands, we would be at 80% eradication in those areas. So we're increasing the number of stands we are controlling, which poses a challenge to our 5-year plan, as Phragmites knows no boundaries, and until we eradicate it both on the water and on land, it will have the ability to spread and establish. But with time, we're increasing the areas that are being controlled by community members and are still increasing the number of stands eradicated. Throughout the time that we have been involved with Phragmites, we've had hundreds of volunteers dedicate over 1,000 hours to Phragmites removal. In 2019, this entire map on the right here, this is showing over 900 stands under our eradication plan. This map would have all been red, all indicating untreated sites. But now we're seeing plenty of control, lots of yellow and green in the township of Georgian Bay and north. And this is because of the communities listed on the screen here. They're predominantly based along the northeast shore of Georgian Bay, and these communities have worked so hard and are incredibly passionate about protecting Georgian Bay, and we are seeing that pay off. The area on the map here is essentially completely community-led and nearly at 100% eradication. The main reason for this, again, is the dedication of these communities and the persistency to monitor and remove invasive Phragmites each year. Being that this area is also farther north, we do see a smaller number of sites in the bay. But when we're starting to look further south in the bay, these communities have a higher density of Phragmites, larger patches to deal with. And thus, this is where our summer staff, our students, spend most of their time in the summer working to decrease the size and number of sites, host community cuts, train and educate volunteers that are interested, and this makes it more manageable for the community group for the future. So with successful eradication, these areas that are further south are on track to being 100% community-led. So I just want to switch gears a little bit and talk about some challenges that we have faced over the years of our eradication program. Part of protecting management investments made is implementing and improving road management by all stakeholders, as roads act as major travel vectors. Georgian Bay Forever and its partners have made many efforts in increasing MTO and municipal participation. Back in 2021, we hosted a webinar in partnership with the Township of the Archipelago, and we suggested resolutions for municipalities to help improve their management actions of Phragmites, and the Township of the Archipelago sent these resolutions to every municipality in Ontario. These suggestions included implementing the best management practices, joining the Ontario Phragmites Working Group, requesting MTO to conduct mapping and treatment, and requesting that all levels of government consider providing funding support for these actions. This does well for spreading awareness, but it's unknown which municipalities read this or passed the resolutions. We did have a representative from the MTO come and speak at this webinar to give updates specifically for the Georgian Bay surrounding areas like the highways. But since then, we have not got any updates on that control. Excuse me. Roadside control is something that's required at a province-wide level, and perhaps these resolutions could be something shared and monitored through the working group. As mentioned earlier, we do hire summer staff to be a large part of our Phragmites program alongside the community. Last year, we had the opportunity to essentially double in summer staff due to some funding that was received by one of our partnering municipalities to go directly toward Phragmites removal, and this was from the provincial government. We were able to offer a competitive hourly rate, a flexible work schedule, though we were not able to fill all positions available. Years before, when we started this program, this was never an issue. And we know around our area that we work in, we were not the only organization that struggled to hire summer staff. We attended a job fair last year that 0 people attended, and every organization or business that was there was struggling to hire as well. And some local organizations also had to return funding that they received for students, hiring students in the environmental field. We believe a large factor to this could be the lack of affordable housing across the province, but again, this is a province-wide issue. To wrap everything up, we've been working to eradicate Phragmites for about a decade, and the involvement and dedication of the local community is incredible. It's taken time overcoming barriers and building relationships in the community to get to where we are now. Thank you for listening, and if there's time for questions, I'm happy to answer some, or here's my contact information. Feel free to reach out.
Thank you very much, Nicole. That was really interesting and great to hear both the positive and the challenges, because that helps us all learn from it. So thank you. So we have a couple questions already. So please, could you give some details of what's happening in Carling Township and along the North Coast?
Sure. In Carling Township, we specifically haven't worked in this area. We have approached council before. So often when we work in a municipality, the reason that we do this is we have approached the municipality and they for some funding support to hire students and carry out our activities in this municipality. And we have approached Carling in the past, but we have not been successful in receiving support back from the township. So we personally haven't been there, but we do know that there is Phragmites growing around the township. We know that Perry Island, Wissahickon First Nation, they are involved in some Phragmites control. Sorry, this isn't part of the township, but it's same waters essentially. But yeah, I apologize. I don't have too much of an update for there.
That's great. Thank you. Do you know what the outcomes were from the request to municipalities to adopt resolutions on Phragmites?
Unfortunately, I don't. We don't know who signed those resolutions or passed them. I do know there were some organizations that non-municipalities that did pass these resolutions, but it was sent out to, I think there's 444 municipalities in Ontario, and unfortunately we just don't have the resources to check in with who passed those resolutions, but that is something that we would like to address and see if there's a way we can maybe send them out and get more information about who will do that.
Definitely. How far across 124 highway do you do frag education and removal?
So we focus for active removal, we focus just in Georgian Bay. We will just on essentially between Georgian Bay and I guess you could say the Highway 400 and Highway 69 corridor. We don't go too much further inland, but if there is training that is needed or requested, we can offer that identification training and that sort of thing. But we don't actively get in the water anywhere other than Georgian Bay.
Gotcha. Well, thank you very much. Unfortunately, just for timing, we'll just have to stop the questions there, but we'll put them in the chat. If Nicole, you can answer them there, that would be excellent.
Sounds
so
good.
thank you very much. Thanks for your presentation.
Thank you.
Great. So I'm going to